Though today it's hard to believe that, believe it or not, that there were once people that were claiming the internet was just going to be a fad. I imagine there were those claiming the same about the telephone, electricity, the wheel, and maybe even down through things like fire over the ages. So certainly we have our doubters out there, but through organizations such as IIA, I think we're doing an excellent job in helping inform people about the truths. Those who ignore the need for national broadband policy, I believe, do so at their detriment. While recent studies show that most states across the country have embarked on some form of broadband initiative, there is neither clearly a single national model nor even a consensus on what would be best practices. What we need to do to remain competitive as the preeminent marketplace in the world is clearly to develop a national broadband policy. In the cities, we actually have the capacity. That's not our real problem. Our real problem is adoption. On average, adoption rates in New York City are on par with those of other major cities, usually ranging somewhere between 40 and 50%. But the United States is well behind other nations in terms of adoption. And the rapid adoption of mobile, third, and fourth generation technologies actually is starting to be, we're not only behind the developed nations, we're actually starting to come behind the non-developed nations. And that's a scary thought. Broadband access is making government increasingly more accessible to people, particularly those that are in need of human services from the city, if you will. Unfortunately, those that actually live on the wrong side of the digital divide. So that first, you obviously have to understand what the major reasons are. And we found a couple of them. First of all, lack of computer ownership, not surprisingly. The actual cost of the broadband service, the cost of broadband services here in this country is much higher than it is in these other places that have much greater adoption. Lack of computer literacy skills, and a general failure to appreciate the value of broadband technology. So accordingly, New York City is going to be unveiling a number of digital inclusion initiatives in the coming weeks focused on expanding access to and adoption of broadband service in traditionally underserved low-income communities. Indeed, the practice of good government lies with prudent investment in projects offering long-term broad-based benefit to the public. So it's now, if you will, our time, our challenge, to develop these policies to result in the national broadband infrastructure. The untapped potential of the million Americans relies on us to blaze that and to get that started.